Welcome everyone to a bit new and a bit improved 5 Minute Friday. I hope you can hear me all a bit better than I did before, and I hope you can see me a lot better than you did before. So here we are, a little bit of updates. I got a new camera, a couple of lights just to kind of keep me focused. And I'm gonna get also an improved microphone really soon. So the quality is gonna go a lot higher. So at least one less intolerable thing about my stream. But if you hear and you like watching them, that's good news for you because at least you'll have to suffer a bit less with the bad quality tech I have. So today we'll be returning to my now favorite, Kitty Count. Turns out for the last 2 weeks I've been a lot more obsessed with him, with them, with her. I'm not really sure. It's a little kitty cat. I've been obsessed with them for a lot more than I would like to admit. And I finally kind of came back with a little backstory for the little guy. Probably we're gonna meet him again really soon. Uh, he's I like his design. It's pretty cute, pretty easy to draw. Plus, I can do probably a lot of stuff. But this is not just old regular vampire. It's actually a cat who decided to change professions and start wrestling thing. It's their alter ego called Kitty Cat. That's basically gives them strength and charisma to be what they are, a big, powerful wrestler. Yeah, so last time we've been here, we talked a little bit about light. We mostly did that light on stream. Hi, Balgrime. Is that right? Balgrime? Happy to have you. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any, or I can't see really how many people are on stream right now, but if any of you have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I usually have a question of the day, and last time I think it was what shivers the timbers, but I didn't have enough time to prepare a new question. So basically, it's the same as last time. What scares you? What spooks you? What do you usually do for Halloween to get spooked? And yeah, I think if you have something to share on that, please do. But coming back to the kitty count and our animation. So basically, we did some of the lights. You could see the previous version I did with the first initial light pass in our Discord channel. That's linked down below. I shared it in our, I think, practice room yesterday. I've been working on some improvements and I'm ready to share them with you, with the class. And yeah, we'll do one additional light I want to add, and then we'll move on to some effects, what I usually do to composite. And if we'll have time, I've prepared a background, which I'll like flash a sneak peek of, which will basically we will use as camera movement. But if we won't manage to do it today, I'll just clean up the background and we'll use it as a whole complete piece. I'll probably re-import the animation with all of the lights and everything. So it would be a bit easier to create movements with a little bit of less layers. So without any further ado, I hope the music volume is okay and not like last time where it was blasting and no one told me. Uh, yeah, I hope everything's comfortable because I'm gonna start drawing right away. And oh, let me tell you what we actually did. So basically, the initial version, you could see it on the last stream and you could see it in the practice room. I've created the base version of the light, and I've decided that it wasn't really good enough for me. I would love to show you comparisons, but I don't have the old version on this specific file, I think. Yeah. So I did. Let me show. No, no, not this one. This one. Yes, this was the initial light we did, and I did a second pass over it just to kind of make it work. I'm not really sure how to explain it. So it started really subtle. you could see that the light is only hitting the bottom of the belly and some of the hands. And when the kitty cat moves his legs away, we have a lot more light going in. But before, I lit, I think, almost half of his face, and very interesting details in his design kind of flew away. So I've decided to play around a bit. First thing I changed, from going from these like straight brows that just lit up these parts over here, I decided to give him more of a cheeky expression and making the expression less symmetrical. So basically, I've raised an eyebrow over here, lowered an eyebrow over there, and it kind of gave him this kind of cheeky, almost mischievous expression. I try to use the light also to accentuate the smile over here that you won't be able to see now. Uh, just so we could see it from really far away. Beforehand, I lit almost every part of the face over here below, and I think we kind of lost some of the dimension and some of the more striking aspects about the design in this. But I decided to keep the collar lit up since it's covering over the face, and decided to leave some on the bow and on the folds of the sleeves. So basically the new lighting looks like this. As you can see also on the face, slowly as the character turns around, you can see how some parts of his face start to lit up, and they give us additional contrast just so we could see the smile really clearly. So this was basically the light I redid yesterday in the practice room, and I thought just one light, that's kind of boring. Maybe we can add something else just kind of to spice up the game. And basically, I've decided to go over and add, whoops, sorry, this, which is a room light that comes from the back and higher than the head of the kitty cat. So basically, it lights up this part over here on the ear. It would light up this shoulder and even part of the collar over here. I've decided to also leave a light here. This maybe is a bit too high. The light won't be able to go over here, I think, but I'll leave it as is because it works well enough for what we have now. And of course, I decided to touch up on the face. Even if the light is coming from the back, there would still be parts of the cheek and maybe just a little part of the nose that would be lit up. Nose, probably not, but I decided to keep it because it gives us a little anchor where we're supposed to look at. It disappears really quickly, and it's just a nice kind of design on that first initial frame. And then I thought, well, having one room light is also boring. What if we can add another one, but make it a bit more subtle and from a bit of a different angle? So even though the whole silhouette is lit up by this kind of light framing, it's still not completely symmetrical. So here I decided to move the light a bit lower. It's probably as the same, like on the x-axis as the other light, but it's a lot lower, almost on the, I would say it's probably somewhere over here. As in the first light, it would probably be, if I'll be removing this, probably would be somewhere here, coming from here and coming from here. And that's why the top of this color won't be lit up, and it would actually cast a little shadow on the rest of the head. You'll see it later. And of course, here I decided to also play with some of the weights and decided to make this sleeve a bit more prominent than this one, even though the light here is a bit more dim. And of course, when it goes up, I try to light up the whole surface of the hand so we could see it moving in space. As you can see, the light over here, you can see where it starts and how it's being covered with the collar piece. So I've decided to add two lights, and now the whole picture looks like this, with one basic, very bright room light on the left and one that's a bit more quiet on the right. We add a pin light from the lamp underneath the legs. And one last thing I want to do, because light will always refract and it will always bounce off of surfaces. Oh, thank you, World Graham saying character design is very cute with his round head. I really like the changes of pupils when they make it more scary. Yeah, that's the point. He gets into the character, and the character has these like small pupils, like cats when they start to like. No, usually when they hunt, the pupils get bigger. But I think the small pupils give him this a bit of intimidation that kind of adds to the mischievous nature of that last pose. Yeah, so I decided to add some reflected light. And here we come to the fun part because we're going to do it together. We have only one frame with the completely refracted light. I probably need to do some tongue twisters before the streams. And it will be pretty subtle. You'll be able to see it once the light is strong enough to have enough kind of energy to bounce around. So we'll be able to see it just barely, but it adds enough feel to it, kind of atmosphere, that it works really well. And just to know, I'm working with a special tool called like Lasso Fill. I'll be able to share actual like ID of the tool if you need to in Discord. But basically what it does is this. I just move my pen as usual, and it automatically encloses and fills the space. I don't know if there's a standard tool that can do that. I found it on the Clip Studio like market or whatever they call it, and it was completely free. So you could also search for it too if you need to, but you can probably create this on your own. So let's turn off the pin lights because we're going to come back to them later. And let's focus on our main rim light. I said pin light. Focus on this pink light and add some reflective stuff to it. So let me see what the color was originally. So as you can see here, I already thought about the last frame. We're probably going to do the same thing we did in the last video, where I worked on the last frame first and then going backwards, basically, just reducing the amount of light that touches the character. I do it that way because it also has some like spaces and places that are not moving, so it actually feels that it's light uh, going through space and landing in the same spot over and over. You'll see what I mean. Probably won't be as noticeable because I'm using like a automatic lasso fill tool, but usually when it's like stuff associated with light and like just lighting up the picture, I try to go from with this kind of backwards method. Let me just clean up some of the stuff I did here before. So basically now we're going to draw reflected light. It's basically the light that comes up into these most like lit parts of the character, and the light that's accumulated here, it bounces around wherever it can. So I think most prominent parts would be the tummy, especially this part over here. It would probably be the collar, and it would probably be spaces over here. The only thing I would probably do is to make them a bit smaller, like this. The only thing I try to conscientiously kind of think when I like draw stuff like this, oh, it was an Anglo. I'm sorry. Overdid it a bit. There we go. Mm-hmm. The only thing you have to kind of keep in mind is that you do not need just to what do you, how can I put it in? Basically, just don't repeat the same shapes you already did. Uh, you have to, with every new piece of information you put on the paper, you have to add some, you know, new information for the viewer as well. And plus, if you're going to repeat the same shapes over and over, as I do a lot of the time, that's why I'm kind of repeating it for myself as well, is that if you repeat the shapes a lot, just as you see them, you might create very boring pieces in your artwork that would be boring to look at. So if you want to keep someone engaged with what you did, you have to be a bit more creative with spaces that you're using. So that's why I'm kind of deleting some of the stuff here because I didn't find it working well enough for what we need. So first of all, I would probably even go and add a little thing over here. Oh, there goes my dog. Change his position. Maybe like this. A bit of reflections on the part where the eye socket has already ended. Like this. And maybe just a tiny bit over here. Mm-hmm. Like this. And this is going to be a lot more transparent than a usual pin light, so to speak. And I'm doing big, broad shapes because I'll be able to blur out some of the spaces where the light isn't as important to be as clear, as sharp. Basically, I'm going to blur some of the parts out. That's why I need the spaces to be big. Over here, I'm trying to find the right place for the cheek. When you light your face from down below, like this. See how parts of my cheeks are lit and some of them are not? Ooh, let's actually use B as a reference. Ooh, probably start not here, but actually here. Huh? How about that? Ooh. What else? What else to see here of note that we can use? Yeah, I think that's it. Well, that was a good use of a reference. Let's put the shapes like this because this is still the top. And this like this over here. Amazing. This repeats that same like first pass. It has the same kind of shape, but now since I have them in two different layers, I'll be able to tone down some of the additional reflected light for it to serve more as a like little nuance rather than like a blocked blocked out shape that I can't do anything with. So let's see. Probably there's going to be a bit reflected light on the bow as well. And it's probably going to be here. Let's see. Let's keep this like this. Cutting away anything we don't need. Taking another look, maybe just playing it over. For now, I kind of like how it looks. There is some stuff I want to change with the pin line. I need a minute. Okay, so let's do the little thing I talked about, going from forwards to backwards. I don't think there's anything to add to this reflected light. I'm going to keep it very bright so we can just at least see what's happening to it. Let's cut away anything we might not need. I would add a little bit to the folds. And add one extra fold with our quiet reflected light. That's probably going to be a lot more toned down, but it will give us a bit of something. It'll give us variety. That's what I want to say. So now we take this frame, which I have under number 2. You just can't see the number 2. It's right here. This will be a bit better for you to see. So here's my frame number 1, where no subtle light is happening, and we have frame number 2, where we have all of the reflexes we wanted to have. And we do this amazing trick in Clip Studio Paint. We go to our previous frame, we click here, and I have a special auto action called copy frame, which basically consists of these little things I've pre-recorded for my Clip Studio Paint, so it could run it at a click of one button. So basically here I have a little setup. It's renaming all of the frames in the right order, so they will be all named correctly. It creates a new animation cell, it deletes this new empty animation cell, and it just duplicates the layer I had beforehand and puts it in the right spot on the timeline, which I think should be a lot easier when you work in animation in creating keyframes. But we have what we have, and I'm grateful that there's just enough customization to do this on our own. So here we go. I click copy frame, and we have a little copy called number 3. So number 2 is absolutely the same. It's just a bit earlier in the timeline. And now over here, I want to delete all of the stuff I might consider unnecessary in this little pose. So if there's like a bit less light from somewhere, I will cut the little light away. Plus the figure is moving, so there will be some parts I'll have to readjust manually anyways. Let's start with the little belly. I'll make it a bit less noticeable. And we don't have like a huge difference here, so the reflex is going to be just a tiny bit smaller, but not too much. There we go. Now let's work on the face. The face also isn't making a lot of changes in between these two frames. So the position is probably correct, but we just have to reduce the amounts. So here we have 1. There goes 1. There goes 2. I'm probably going to delete this cheek action going on. And we probably will have to reduce the amount of light coming in onto the top of the jacket. So over here as well. Cutting away, and cutting away. Oops. And let's make the silhouette on top of the bows just a tad more thin. Probably the spacing is a bit too much on some of the places. We want it to be as small as possible because these are the last 2 frames of the movement, and for the brain not to feel a shock every time an animation ends, it's better to have like at least 1 frame with a bit subtler spacings. Oh, what happened? No idea. I just, huh? For some reason, I can't undo. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to take a little technical break once I won't be able to find a workaround kind of solution around it. Maybe I can't save either. That's interesting. Okay. Let me go on a little break, a little online break, and I'll be right back because we need to save this or it's going to go away forever and I won't be able to replicate it. I won't have the patience or the time. So give me a minute. And I'm back. And I think everything is now working as it should. I had a couple of illustrations open in the background, a Discord going on, all of this with keeping up with my voice and a live stream screen share. So probably a bit too much for a good little pal. And he decided he wanted a little break. Well, I had a little break too. Had a little bit of sip of coffee, but you probably can't hear it due to my coughing. But yes, let's go back to our original topic. We were working on the reflected light, and we're slowly kind of chopping it away and away from the shape. So let's continue doing that right where we left off. So here's the space. I remember I talked about like how you need to keep just like maybe like a couple of frames for easing out, for your brain not to feel like it's a seizure watching your animation, that it wasn't just a dream, that it moved. So we do the same thing we did before. Here's our auto actions. We click, we move, and then we click, copy, frame. Now we have all the frames for creating the next one, and we chop away. We chop away even more. So here we have a lot less light. It's going to be reflected, and it's going to be reflected in the way how much of that purple bounce we will show. Here we can kind of speed things up. Nope, I did it in the wrong place. Twice? No, only one time. Okay. Here it's probably going to be let's delete stuff that we need to redraw anyways. It's probably going to look something like this. Maybe even like that. And let's see. The bottom is okay. And also the reason why I actually decided to rework the original lights I had, even though I kind of liked it. It was kind of a rough pass, but you know, because one of the people in the Discord, they showed like a specific frame of an animation, and the other person who was looking at it, they looked at the bottom here and asked, why do they have like panties on? What kind of costume is that? And that kind of hit me. The original light I did was it did look like just a pair of panties on a cat that's for some reason naked. So I didn't want to have this like these associations, so I decided to rework the light a little bit. So it all started from this little comment that kind of strayed me on the right path. Let's work with the face. So again, we're gonna see a lot less. So probably gonna see something like this actually going on. There's gonna be some light over here just because we'll be able to see that part of the head still. Here we go. Let's delete this and add just a tiny bit of here. And an incredibly thin stroke over here. Like this. Let's see. Does this work in our favor or not? Well, I mean, I see the vision. I know what I have to do next with it for it to work. It's a bit too blocky for now, but you should see how I'll hit the blur brush. Just wait for it. I got you. I got you. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here, copy frame, but here everything's going to be a lot more subtle. I just wanted to keep this part of the expression, the little cheeks. And here we barely will have any light coming in. And it's supposed to be that way. And now let's cut maybe like this. And just a little bit on the chin. Like that. Mm-hmm. And of course, we should cut away stuff from the color. And yep. Same thing over and over, copy frame. But here I'm gonna cut away all of this. Oh, you should see this anyways. Cut away, cut away, cut away. Yes. Yeah, everything's right. And just as I talked about giving some easing out for the end of the kind of movement or the end of the change, same should happen in the beginning. So I tried to use like very small spacing here and here. And yep, just so we could see some of the light bouncing off of the legs. So we could see a cute little tummy. And here, let's cut. So let's cut this. Like this. Cut some stuff over here. And leave this little dash as a little reflection. Let's see. And probably no light on the bow tie at all. So now we have only one frame more to correct. We go copy frame. And here we kind of delete what we don't need and add just a barely bare minimum to those reflected lights. And of course, deleting everything here as well. Yeah, maybe just like keep a tiny bit. So let's see what we have with some of our added lights. Yeah, I kind of like it. It adds to the nature of light, I think. Just a tiny bit, so it will be a bit more believable. But now we go into the part where we're going to add a bit more into compositing stuff. And we're going to just work with the lights. We're just going to blur some of the parts. We're going to make some of the parts a bit more noticeable, change some of the, what do you call it? Layer blending, like blending modes, and just like have fun. This is my favorite part of drawing, like compositing, stuff like that. Trying out different effects, trying out different lightings, seeing if anything works. Usually nothing works, and I have this like weird compositing over a picture that wasn't supposed to be composited, but just fun. And compositing isn't just over like putting a bunch of effects and calling it a day. It's actually pulling everything into one cohesive picture, but I still can't do that. I'm trying really hard. So let's work on that, and we'll also have to use some of our auto actions for this as well, especially select and fill and blur. So let's turn on all of the lightings we had going on. So we had two rim lights coming from the back. We have one main light and one reflected light. Let's add a little lamp to the character. So I won't forget there's supposed to be a lamp, and we'll probably need to add another layer as well that's just going to show how the light emanates from the main lamp and kind of diffuses in the air, a small bit of space in front of the legs. So let's see. Give me a minute just to check one thing over, and then I'll be right back. Yep, I'm done. Let's add the lamp. Let's make it the right way. Here we go. We can even do another thing. Duplicate the layer. Use free transform. To make this one actually pinker, darker. Yep. Oh, I don't know if you can hear it, but it started raining, so I might have additional noise in the background. I'm sorry. Free transform, and just make like a little blob that's gonna sit a bit higher than the main layer of the lamp. Yep, like this. Maybe just like this. Let's combine them. And put them right under our kitty cat's feet. It's probably going to be something like this, right? Let's see. Yeah, somewhere around that. So now we have a good lamp going on. We'll use as base. And now let's go to our pin light and reflexes. Whew. Okay. So first thing, what I want to do is I want to bring our background a bit into frame. It's probably what I'm going to use eventually. This is just like a good mock-up of how it's going to look. Or I might keep it as is, you know. You could never know what I decide to do next. Just like keep it very, very subtle. Let's start with adding just like a blending layer. Let's pick something like something greenish, bluish, something in this range, like this. Let's have fun with the blending layers and see if there's anything fun we could do with them. Tiny subtle thing, but it will give us a bit more contrast on him. I probably want to work with the reflex first. I probably want to blur some of the parts out. Let's remove the pin light and the lights on the back and just work on this. So there's some parts I want to have blurred, and there's some parts where I want to keep everything clear. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a tool called Blur, and I'm gonna use it because I've always used it before, right? No, I think it was somewhere here. No, I can't find Blur. Well, I'm gonna use then another brush. It's probably gonna do almost the same thing as Blur, but it's just a noisy airbrush. So let's go to frame number 7 and just rework some of the things. What? What do you mean? Oh, oops, wrong layer. I think this solution would work even a bit better than regular blur because this gives us, what do you call it? Texture. This is a special brush I created for working in Clip Studio Paint. It's very close to how you would operate an airbrush. I think it initially was designed like that, but I don't. I'm not really sure. There are like a lot of similarities. Just a bit of noise coming from some of the spaces. I even tried animating with this brush. It delivered some unique results, but it's really hard to control specific, I would say, tone weight, because this brush is very good for creating these kind of unpredictable textures. But if you want something a bit more stable and stuff you can replicate, that would be a bit of an issue. Here we go. And let's add some stuff here as well. I'm blurring only from one side, where I think the changes would be softer. Without the main light, it almost looks wrong. Let's bring that density down just so we can work on this subtle change here. Mm-hmm. Oh, let me duplicate just in case, because I'm deleting some of the stuff. Sometimes when I have something that already has multiple colors in and I don't want to lose the original file, I would go through every layer and I would create a specific mask for that layer, and I'll work on the mask. But it usually takes a lot more time, and I usually only do it in places where I absolutely can't make a duplicate. Full on storm. Mm-hmm. Hi! Welcome. Operation Oni saying hello from Japan. Interesting. Thank you. Feel free to hang around here or on the Discord server. Uh, we usually have more practices there. This happens once a week where I just talk about stuff I feel I can talk about. Because I'm still learning at our school. I just have some stuff I can share, what I found already. But I'm not like any authority or anything. There we go. Mm-hmm. There we go. A bit more to the bottom. Mm-hmm. Let's go to previous layer and work with the edges over there. I think I kind of overdid it on the last frame, but whatever. We'll be able to correct it if we need to. I'll try to work specifically on the edge from now on. Mm-hmm. There we go. And the reflected light on the legs. Mm-hmm. There we go. One more. Over here. Actually, this design kind of reminds me. There was this one indie animated film that I had also an unhealthy obsession on. It was created by one guy, I think, in like 2007 or something. It was called like Tamala 2000, a cat punk from space. And it's basically about this cat named Tamala, which is. I don't even remember what the movie originally was about. I only remember the good techno music and some of the more kind of surprising, shocking scenes from the movie. Probably had a greater meaning, but I watched it because I had unlimited internet access when I was younger. It doesn't have anything like super dark, I think. Uh, but a very interesting watch in terms of kind of technical difficulty because as I know, it was created completely by one animator, and I think he was also from Japan, but I don't remember. And yeah, he just created this alone. I kind of have a huge fascinations with new movies, or with people who like to do film and who not only just do stuff alone, not like they can do a lot of stuff on their own, but people who have like an incredible passion. For example, they want to create like a whole movie, they already have like everything set up, and they just need like 10 years just to work things out. It just takes so much passion and so much dedication to that one project you believe in. I always respect it. So let's see what our additional blurs, how did they work out? I think they worked out pretty well. I would only worked on correcting some like minor stuff and just maybe giving this a more blurred edge. Like this. Let's add our main pin light. Ooh, and I think with the strong, like very sharp pin light, I think this works really well. The subtle kind of noise shifting around is kind of adding to the picture. But I wanted to work, I want to do some additional stuff for the pin light too. I'm going to go with the same noise brush, but like with a very, very small density, and add some, I wouldn't say reflections, but basically just fuzz some stuff around. Somewhere we can do it, basically. So let's go to the pin light. Let's go to normal for a second so I'll be able to copy the color. And let's keep it that way for a little while. Oh, sorry, my eye is very itchy. Oh, maybe it's the hair. I should probably go for a trim because they're getting long enough that I can't see anything in front of me. There you go. Let's go. Let's change our density so it would be very, very subtle. And let's change our color blending mode from multiply to normal. And just blur some of the things out. In some of the places where the light is so strong, it could even be a bit translucent and come through the skin, through the fur. So we'll be able to kind of cheat our way into having this illusion. Probably if you're working in After Effects or something like that, you could probably just use the clear shapes you'll already have. That's why I like to work from clean shapes to rough stuff like this. And again, I haven't created a duplicate, and that's gonna be and that's I'm probably gonna have the consequent consequences, sorry, of my actions. They'll come one day when I'll have something like unlinked or ungrouped or unduplicated. what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to make this just a bit more and some parts just a bit less. Here we go. It's a tiny change, but it's still kind of, it gives it additional texture for the eye and the brain to kind of work around. Hi, Arada. Thank you. We try our best. We have usual streams for every week here. Plus, we have streams with our mentors that I find really interesting. And you can also visit our Discord. Uh, we have regular practices, and one of them actually is every Sunday we do fast figure drawing. And we use Crocus Cafe for that. We have a special teacher license that allows us to do that legally. We will basically like share a screen and we will draw figures, usually full body. Sometimes they could be in costumes. One time we drew a skeleton and we just go for 2 hours. We practice, then we look over what we managed to do during the practice, and then we meet next Sunday. So thank you. Feel free to stick around. We're happy to have the more the merrier, basically. Mm-hmm. Happy to hear that. So yeah, I think you can find all of the links in the description. It's right down below. Plus, of course, we are a school, so we have courses you can check out. The next enrollment will start, I think, in February. All of our courses, they start at the same time, and we have classical 2D animation, we have character design, as I'm aware, we're gonna start adding students to our special effects course as well, which is going to be about 2D animation and how to do special effects like fire, water, smoke, cycles, stuff like that. Yeah, and on the Discord, you can also we have all of that information stored. Plus, we have links to the free courses you could also go through. Yes, and the students are very very talented. I worked I went through all the three courses and it's like intense. People are so good and they put so much effort uh, into their work. Sometimes it's insane. As well as the demos, you should try and look for our short films. These are basically short films created by our students as part of the course, as part of the last course, course number 4, where students just gather and create like a short little movie in 4 months. And it feels almost like a studio because you basically have the pitching, you have to create a project, you have to basically, I wouldn't call it defending it, but you basically have to go through a pitch session where people will be asking you questions you will probably not be ready to answer in some places. And then you create a whole movie with the animators. You pass it over to compositing, who will basically do some pretty stuff. I think they've already added the people who do special effects into the pipeline too. So now we have people who are responsible for the special effects. And not just the animators. They don't have to do everything. So we have people who are like basically who specialize on characters and other people who are uh, specialized in special effects. You know what I mean? Oh, and the music too. We have a special compositor who basically does the music for the short films as well. So it feels like a whole production. You will meet every week, you'll have goals you need to complete, you'll have deadlines you'll miss. The whole package, basically. This will probably be reflected. Fixing the browse. Mm-hmm. Yes. Everyone works really, really hard. We have one of the people, one of the students on our Discord server, and one of the people who are on the Discord server. They've created like a really cool animation recently, posted there on their YouTube channel, uh, and they usually post their OCs into our like poster art section, and I just love it. How many students did we have in like previous sessions and courses? When we usual class, the class is filled once we have about, I would say, 10 to 12 students per class. Uh, yeah, I don't think it's not possible to carry more because every week we have feedback sessions. That's basically everyone brings the work they've created during the week, and the teacher, the mentor, goes through it and kind of gives his own feedback on that specific work. And sometimes the sessions, if we have more than like 13, 14 students, it could take up to 3 or 4 hours. So usually the school tries to limit the number of students per class up to like 10, 12 max. And we have courses basically for animation. We have the beginner. It's basically you learn to animate like a flour sack. Then you go to course 2 where you animate like movement, dynamic shots. After that, course 3 talks about acting and like more subtle stuff. And course 4 is the short film. True, I agree. You have to make a conscious decision. When you want to learn something new, you have to move around the stuff you already have, and sometimes it's very hard. Right now, I'm taking the course on 2D special effects animation, and having it combined with all of the stuff I have running now is really, really hard. Sometimes I have to make compromises in different places just to keep myself floating, like not overworking completely. But yeah, rest is very, very important. Ooh, it's practically glowing. I like it. Let's work with this. Mm-hmm. Amazing. I think we're pretty much finished with the kind of the rework of the first frame. If you want to, I can actually show the difference. So here's the pin light, the copy we did. So here was the original. It's small, but I think it works a bit better. It has these like subtle shifts from light to darkness, and it adds some like precious noise that adds to the whole picture. Thank you. You should see what other people do on the Discord channel. We have a couple, like, not a couple, we have a lot of very talented people who do like 2D animation. We have a couple of people who do 3D. Shame we don't have more 3D artists to kind of mingle all of them together. But for now, it's mostly centered around 2D. Yeah. Oops. My bad. Wrong brush. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a couple of very talented 3D artists. I think you could go and like see their works. We have a special little thing called Show Your Reel, where people show like specifically animations and stuff like that. And we had a couple of people who shared their 3D works. And I'm barely familiar with Blender, so I can only say, "Oh, that's so good." I can't really add anything else to the conversation. I'll work on the legs right now on all of the frames because I want the arcs to work. For them to work, I need to do some extra stuff. Good for you. You will see my face very often there. On Thursdays, we have the practice room where you can just come and work on your animations. Usually, I work on anything I will show on Five on a Friday. I work on it in the practice room. So I did all of the lights. As in the beginning of the stream, I showed the lights I did and everything. That was done in the practice room. After that, we have 5 Minute Friday, which is on YouTube. Just kind of this chill little stream we do where either I discuss something or, oop, I need a second to concentrate. Where either I talk about something or, for example, we had one stream where we invited a bunch of the students to talk about their experiences and how they were working on specific shots. What do you need to prepare as a student beforehand, before starting the course? Kind of just pieces of advice. Yeah, and I think we'll have also like special things happening on Friday because it's basically the first event ever started on the Discord channel, and any like special things related to the Discord usually go on Fridays. But if not, I'm just here usually almost every week doing something, usually animating. What else? And yeah, on Sunday we have the practice room, which I already explained. Uh, we come together, do some figure studies, look at our results together, uh, and that's it. And we go home. And we rest and we relax. And usually on Tuesday, from Monday to Wednesday, I post the, what do you call it? What do you call it? The schedule. Next Friday. Next Friday, I'm not sure what we're gonna do. Probably something relating to special effects because I like doing them, and they're pretty relaxing to do on stream. But usually every Friday, we have something on the YouTube channel. Let me see what next Friday is actually gonna be. What's that date gonna be? Come sit with us. My dog is in the background, but you can't see it because she's covered with the logo of Animation School. Animation Club School. I'm sorry. We have a full legal title. There we go. I'm deleting some extra light that I think is going to come in the picture a bit later. There we go. Oops. An accidental circle. Next Friday, oops, I forgot I was looking for the next Friday. Next Friday, we probably won't have anything because on Saturday, we're going to have like a very big event that we usually do for students who are the best at all of the. I'll get back to your question on the reference for any particular place. let me finish the thought I had before I read your comment. What was that? Oh yeah, we're gonna have a very special event on Saturday, next Saturday. It's gonna be a big stream. Basically, the students who complete all of their assignments and only receive the top grades. It's usually, I don't know, 5, an A, whatever you want to call it. Just like the top grade you can get. For these kind of the most hardworking students, they have a special reward, uh, which is basically a feedback from a professional in the industry, and usually a very good professional, someone who works at either like at top studios or had very like big experience in the field. We had people from Cartoon Saloon, from Sony Pictures Animation, from Titmouse, from Line, um, a bunch of talented people. And basically, they give their personal feedback to one of the shots that students choose to get feedback on. And this Saturday, it's going to be a graduation stream once more for the students. And this time, it's going to be an animator who worked on Cartoon Saloon's My Father's Dragon, on Screecher's Reach, all of those stuff. Yeah. And basically, he's going to go and give feedback on the students' works. So it's probably going to be very fun. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there for the whole thing. I'm gonna host it. So there will be at least one familiar face in the crowd of webcams. Mm-hmm. And your question, do you get your reference from a particular place? Depends. If I need some specific reference on like a specific animation piece, like smoke, water, special effects, I use Sakugaboro. And for, I don't know, for like movement, for character movement in general, I reference myself. I usually film a video of myself doing something, or either like over here, I was just scrolling, I think Instagram, and I found this random video that I found kind of educational, even. And you can see it, it's right there on the top called reference. This is a reference for this specific piece. But usually for stuff I want to animate, I find it on the internet randomly. One of the first 5 Minute Fridays I ever did was also based on a reference I found on TikTok. It was just, there's this account. I don't know the name. I am looking at their content for like a really long while, but they basically smash things with a hammer. And there was this really pretty, kind of dainty, oh, puppy cam, hello. You can't see her, but she's there. Hi. You're nervous. It's been raining for the last hour and a half, and my dog, she doesn't really like rain. So she's probably going to be very sad on camera, just so you feel sorry for her. Is that right? Oh, you poor little baby. Well, don't worry, we're gonna finish soon. Poor little thing. Come tell them. Come tell them how sad you are. You're not going to? No. Yeah, she usually sits on this side, and you can usually see her sleeping. You want to come here? But she's hidden right behind the logo. Oh well. You'll definitely see her next time. And usually I share her on the Discord a lot. So I think in any subfolder you go, eventually you'll see my dog. Yeah, you probably won't be able to see the little details I'm kind of working over. Hello! Oh, do you see her? She's shaking. It's okay, Bob. I don't know if you can see it. Poor little girly. Yeah, you're gonna sit with us? Okay. Oh, you're so spooked. We're probably gonna finish a little bit earlier because she feels a bit worse for wear than usual. Maybe there's gonna be a big storm coming. She's not a fan of them. But I think we have, I don't know, about half an hour. We're probably gonna maybe do 15 more minutes. And if she feels worse, I'll probably have to end like 15 minutes sooner than usual. But for now, she's fine. Went to her place. Okay. And I've been working. Ooh, I've been planning to work on the camera movement and everything. Maybe I'll just make it like a little tutorial before I start the next Five and Friday. Because I had a lot more plans, but it just turned into me just erasing stuff for 2 hours. Ooh, yeah, that's a big thunder coming on. Mm-hmm. There we go. Thank you, Artie Scales. It's very nice of you. I'll try my best. Let's actually see how everything is coming along. There's still some stuff I need to change on the face, but we're getting into it. Let me make it bigger for you so you'll be able to see it better. Ooh, and maybe add a lamp. Yeah. And the rim lights too. Let's see actually. What do we have here? Ooh, I kind of like how it's slowly coming along. I think the textured brush gives us this like feel of being very detailed without actually having too much detail in the piece. We're just scribbling a lot, like scribbling around, giving this kind of an airbrush feel. I'm probably going to do the same thing with the pin light as well. In the stuff where the light can be reflected, it's going to have like this fuzzy reflection. And on the collar too, on the stuff where we can see more of the light. Let's go back. Where was it? Yeah, this one. I know this is the best part of animating for me. The just doing a bunch of doodles. I know. You know what? Let me just finish this little frame, and we'll have 10 minutes of just fun stuff. Yes, I've actually been thinking to add a bit of purple over here. I had a highlight over here. You can see the little highlight I initially created, but I've deleted it because I want to rework them a bit more. Because I want the eyes also to have a bit more attention to them. So I'm probably going to lift them up, and I want to see if it will make sense. For the eyes to be glowing and have reflections as well. It's raining like crazy. There we go. Like this. Like this. Mm-hmm. Ha! Oops, I forgot I closed off the chat for a moment. Thank you. Ooh, and also, we'll have like 10 minutes before we end the stream. I'm going to show you, since I haven't seen any of you before on the streams, I'll show you some also smooth stuff we did, but beforehand. If I'll be able to find it, I don't want to open my directory in front of other people, plus when it's recorded. I'm entitled to my own privacy. But if not, I'll show you a little app I've also downloaded recently that I'm having so much fun in terms of animating. It's insane. Like animating sometimes animating like cycles or stuff is hard because you have like a specific frame rate you need to work in. You have like basically limitations that you can't play around as easily usually. And there's this app. It's called Bloom, I think, uh, with like three O's, and it's basically the most fun parts of animating, in kind of this very simple interface. And I've created a couple of animations there. Boy, is it fun! Let's see. Have I did all of the? Yeah, I think I have one frame somewhere left to be a bit corrected over. Ooh, but I like it. I think the shapes have improved a little bit. There is some stuff I need to work on. For example, bam. Do you see how the main pin light goes from this to this to this? This needs to be checked. Mm-hmm. How about now? A bit better. Yes. Okay, let's review what I did today. Today I came with the clean version of the pin light. I had some uh, ring lights like this. So basically, we started from this. No, we started from somewhere. We could watch in the beginning of the stream. We added some pin lights. We cut them in some places and erased them. We added some reflected light for it to kind of bounce off and create this 3D illusion. And yeah, I'm not sure if next time I'm gonna count. I'm gonna touch on the kitty count. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do it in my own free time, and we'll see what we're gonna do next. So give me a minute to rearrange it and actually find that app. I'll give you just a couple of loops, just for you kind of to see what we came with. I think I've overall, I think it's an improvement over last week because last week we were thinking about shapes, but in some places they were too complicated and took too much attention on themselves. And here we kind of reduced everything to very, very simple shapes, again, even simpler than they were before, and already worked from that very easy to understand base. And I think it gave us a bit better results, especially on the smile. I think the way I lit up the smile with the normal light and with the reflected light, I think it kind of gives it this final like oh, you could do even so much more. I have so much stuff on Clip Studio Paint I did. It's complicated in some places, but the amount of customization you can do and some specific workarounds you just need to know to work in Clip Studio Paint, and it's like very powerful, especially if you want to combine animations with something more textured, kind of give a texture feel to it. Usually it was like only possible in something like TV Paint, because I mean in Toon Boom as well, but I never touched it because I started animating on Flash, so I only knew how to do vector kind of animation, which wasn't really a right thing with like gradients and airbrushes and noises. Everything was very vector. Okay, let me come back for like a moment, just like hold. Bam. Let me click somewhere here so it would have some fun music going. So this app is called Loom. You can't see part of the interface, but you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Loom is a very fun application that exports your animations into SVG format. When it basically allows you to play with different loops. Let's and plus you can have an infinite canvas of stuff you want to do. So let's work on the new one. I have this. Let's draw kitty count as usual. He's holding a little balloon. He like this. Yep. I think this works really well. Oh yeah, Vector is really good in terms of like keeping quality, but I don't know. It's all like any vector animation. It feels like it came from Newgrounds, which is not a bad thing. There we go. The kitty count is ready. Kitty count is going trick or treating. There we go. Now, basically, I can do different cool stuff with it. I mean, let me just quickly retrace some of the things so we'll be able to see him kind of boiling. In this animation software, you can't do anything really too complicated, I think, even if you wanted to, just because the interface is so simple. It's created like it's just for you to have fun. And having fun, I'll show you what's the best and like fun parts about it in just a minute once I'll finish the kind of the most stable part of the picture. Yeah, like that. Thank you. I think it's the combination of everything. The cuteness. I think the thing that makes him actually like really cute, I think it's the hat. Well, it's not a hat. He has like a spot like this on his head. And the cape, it's part of the costume. So basically when he's like without a cape, he would have a little dark head and a little kind of, Tom and Jerry body from like maybe Jerry or that little gray cat, like with the tummy, with the little paws. He's a Wesley. And he doesn't have a tail. He does, but it's like small. Let me go back to the. Oh, and see how interesting they have this little thing, which basically allows you to flip through the frames really easily and quickly. In Clip Studio Paint, you can only drag the timeline. I wish there was like an option to create something like this. There we go. And one more. So for example, let's imagine that the kitty count is taking a walk, for example, trick-or-treating late in the evening, and you want to add some fireflies, but you don't want to bother with, drawing each and single like frame, checking if the arc is good. You just want to slap it and see like how well it works. And usually in normal softwares, you'll have to go like frame by frame, either straight ahead or post to post. But basically, you have to draw them out individually, create all of the frames and everything. Not in Loom. That's why I like it. There we go. Ah, the balloon. And here we go. Good. We have the kitty cam ready. Here they are. Let me delete this one. Meow. Come on, delete, 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 delete. There he goes. Now we go to a different frame and press play. And for example, I want to do a firefly going around the character. Bam! And you already have a bunch of stuff going on. You could go either like this, you could have different shapes. We could go create another one, give it a different color. For example, a butterfly. And make the amount of frames like 8. We stop. And we just You go next. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, and basically you would just click and you have basically a bunch of options. Wow, it's getting really, really loud here. You probably can't hear me well. Uh, my tracing and my stroke are super precise. I'm using an iPad Pro, I think iPad Pro, the 12-inch one. That was like, it's either 2020 or 2021, like that year of production. And as a stylus, I use an Apple Pencil. And I don't use any special coating on the surface of the screen. You could buy like something like Paperlike, which gives you even more precision in your strokes, but it kind of files down uh, your pencil. So I'm using a regular screen protector. Yeah, it's probably a good time to to end for today. Uh, Still, thank you for coming. This is another example I did of the. Oh, you can hear me pretty well? Okay, good. Well, I can't hear almost anything. I can almost hear any music going in the background. And I probably need to check on the dog because she's probably having not a great day. But still, thank you for coming over. This was very fun. I don't think we had like a lot of like as usual, but Arata, you were chatting with me the whole day, so I'm very grateful you were able to be here. The app name is Loom. You can't see it over there, but it's basically Loom. No, wait. It has three O's. Yeah, it's like Loom. And I think it costs like about $15, which is on the pricier side. No, 10. I think 10, which is on the pricier side for apps that it doesn't have like a free version or anything. But to be honest, for me, it paid with the fun, like the fun aspect of Loom kind of overshadows even a higher price than usual what I would buy. Thank you. I'm very happy to stream, especially if I have such a nice crowd. Uh, it's always nice. It's just like sitting down and chatting. We do absolutely the same thing on Discord. The only difference is we all chat together. Thank you. I'll be happy to host. If you have any suggestions or you want to cover something specific, you can tell me, and I'll be happy to have a stream dedicated to that. I think this animation is a bit cuter. Yeah, so I'll be finishing for today. It's really starting to kind of pour, and I'll probably need already a break. I'm kind of tired. I think next time we will either continue doing the kitty count because it's kind of relaxing, and we're slowly getting closer to the compositing and camera movement in Clip Studio Paint. And if you're interested in those parts, like functions of Clip Studio Paint, I'll definitely then host another stream on that specific animation. But if not, if you have something else in mind, you can also tell me either through the DMs on Discord or through any of the chats on the Discord server. But I think I'll be finishing on this cute little note. My cute little, love him so much. Yeah. See you soon. Again, thank you for coming. I'll be ending the stream really soon. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, my new mic will come around and we'll also have an improved sound quality to the streams. So